Hello everyone, my name is Aidan the Demon and welcome back to another video. And I am here with the safety net.
What's
Say
up?
hello, sir.
We are out here.
Yes, we're out here living the vibe. Okay, anyways. So today's video, we're going to be talking about the Treyarch project timeline we have. And let me say this right now. This is one video I've always wanted to do with, like, do a lot of videos on, was go over what stuff Treyarch has been going through since they started COD. I know they did Call of Duty like back in the day, like I think it was like what 2000 and like after Call of Duty 1. I think they made Call of Duty 3 and DLC for Call of Duty 2, but I know it was Call of Duty 3 and onwards. But back to topic, we're gonna go through our little Treyarch continuous project timeline. Safety, you first.
Okay, so we're starting this timeline off. This timeline is based on every concurrent year that Treyarch has had to develop for a game. The first year starting on our list is 2015 with Black Ops 3. With Black Ops 3, they had a very tumultuous development cycle. The campaign was very hard for them to create. It had to be rewritten multiple times. From Jason Blundell at one point in time, he said that because of the rewrites, they had to pause development for a campaign. And because of that pause, the campaign team could work on zombies, which allocated more resources to zombies, which actually helps zombies become as big of a mode it is in Black Ops 3, which is why it's so glazed to this day.
Yeah, and if I also remember correctly, Jason Blundell said in an interview, stating straight up that he wanted originally the BO3 story to be open world. Because I even remember correctly reading an article that Treyarch always wanted to do a BO3 campaign that was open world, but it got scrapped to make it linear and it was a rush campaign. Now, don't get me wrong, the campaign's gameplay was fantastic, but the story was so bad that literally if you wanted to learn about the lore of BO3, you had to read the fucking comics too. Not just like the little intel in BO3's campaign, but you also have to read fucking comics just to learn the story a bit more as well. Mainly about our main characters.
I think the story on paper, to me, sounds interesting if you just like learn about it like that.
It does.
But in execution, the way this presented through the story is very nonsensical and very hard to interpret for the player. Like, I have gone over the story multiple times through reading it over online, through playing the game. And even then, every single time, I'm like re-understanding how the story is presented in a different way because it's just so hard to understand like what's going on once you get the full picture of it.
I mean, look at BO7's campaign for example. I think the storytelling is a bit better in that one. Yes, it's not a great story, but then again, we will get that later down the line. But that's just my personal opinion about BO7 stories. Like, I would prefer that story over BO3 any day.
It's definitely it's definitely a poorly written story for Black Ops 7, but it's at least presented in a way where the player can actually understand what's going on.
But BO3 was an interesting game because again, the multiplayer was good, the zombies was good too, and we also got mod support too for that game as well.
Mod support, I'll always say this, mod support and then Zombie Chronicles is pretty much what put the game into being like as big of a game as it is and how much longevity and love that it has. And to me, like, it's unless they do that again with like a DLC 5 or a mod tools, they'll never really be able to reach the package of a game that Black Ops 3 is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll even admit right now, in my opinion, BO3 Zombies is really good for its mods, not gonna lie. Some of the maps though for zombies was actually really great too, but if I'm also being honest, if we go to the zombie era though, like the classic era of zombies, or Jason Blundell's era of zombies, there is both good and bad. And just to let you guys know as well, every director or era of zombies that directs the mode has either a good or bad section of the era. For example, Jason Blundell had good ambition. He actually had good directing, but his flaws was his story was very cryptic in BO3's story, which, mind you also have to read the comics as well to learn what happens in BO3 from BO2 Origins, by the way. And another flaw was that I think it was like in the beginning of BO4, he started not listening to the community as much, which is understandable, but he was so ambitious with BO4 that a lot of people started hating the BO4 Zombies mode, like the mode as a whole. I mean, don't get me wrong, BO4 Zombies, it was an okay mode, but the perk system was shit. Don't get me wrong there. And I think the story in BO4 was rushed because, again, we'll get that later on, but then again, it just makes you realize, like, there's gonna be some directors that have good and bad, but they're not a bad person, you know?
I don't want to go skip ahead to Black Ops 4 because we're still only on 2015,
Yeah,
so we got a lot more to cover. But
yeah,
just to touch on that, for the Snyder/Zelensky era, because if you didn't know, World at War was by Jesse Snyder, and then Black Ops 1 by Zelensky, and then
by
first half of 2 is by Zelensky. It was like this is a description I heard from Rad Austin years ago. I think perfectly encapsulates it. It's a ship that's sailing, that's being built as it sail. So they're just kind of like making shit up as they went along, and just whatever worked stuck, and whatever didn't just got forgotten about in the wayside as time went on.
I mean, if I also remember correctly too, as well, that I think if we look at like the transit concept art, because I've seen transit concept art, right? Apparently, transit was supposed to be bigger than what it was originally.
So on the dev documents, Black Ops 2's apocalypse storyline was supposed to take place. I think it was like 100 years after. It wasn't even supposed to be 10 years like it is now. Like 100 years is what reason why the damned name for Black Ops 2 is like damned 100 AE or something like that. AE
it's
being
damn 100 AE, yeah.
So yeah, and to go back to what I was saying earlier, with the Blundell era, it was a lot more planned out with forethought of like an overarching story they wanted to go on. Now, the presentation was still cryptic, and there was a more they tried to play into a lot more of the questions and the answers, but they were trying to tie it all in together, where Black Ops 1, 2, and World at War would create threads that might not never get picked up on again, and there would be loose ends throughout the storyline, which Blundell era spent time tying those threads back up together and putting it all into one big, maybe not cohesive, but one big narrative that made more sense.
Now, getting on to like back to topic, the 2016 year we have in our list. The BO3 DLC seasons, or well, the DLCs, through February 2nd to September 6th of 2016.
Now,
these were really interesting.
In the this is back when we still had the DLC packs. So when this game came out, it was the season pass. You got the giant at launch, and then the 4 big DLC packs would come out throughout the next year. And so we got our regular drops. It was 4 maps, 4 multiplayer maps, and then 1 zombie map per DLC pack. And what we'd found out is that while DLC 1, The Rise and Shock, was had a pretty smooth development, DLC 2, they pretty much had to rework the entire engine to work for what they wanted the map to do, and then also for what the future they needed for other maps to do in Black Ops 4. Which, if you remember correctly, Zombie Chronicle, Zetsubo no Shima came out a very, very buggy map. Lots of bugs.
Yeah.
People were not happy about it. There's probably still small bugs to this day in that map.
Yeah, and if I also remember correctly, wasn't that Kevin Drew? Wasn't that one of... I think that was the first map Kevin Drew ever directed, I believe, right?
I think I do know he had a part to play in that. I know the first
Yeah,
map
I
he ever worked
remember
on
that.
was Mob of the Dead.
Mob of the Dead.
But I think Kevin had talked about in the past working heavily on Zetsubo.
And we're not getting into the BO4 yet, but he also worked on Ancient Evil.
Which go to map. And
Yep.
so for the rest of the DLC season, when Garad Krovi came out, I believe Jason Lundell said in an interview that the next map Revelations had already been finished and was ready to ship when Garad Krovi had launched, which at the time felt like, okay, these zombies guys are really ahead. But with the forethought of what we know going on in the future, it makes sense that they would want to have all that stuff done ahead of time so they could work on Zombie Chronicles coming out the next year, working on Infinite Warfare that year, and then all those tiny little DLC drops they have up until Black Ops 8's release.
Yep. And then after Revelations came out, they also helped with Infinite Warfare. Which, that is one thing I did not know. In 2016, they helped with IW.
So
I did not know that.
If from what I know, based off dev docs, is they worked on at least the final campaign mission for the campaign. And then for multiplayer and zombies, they pretty much outlined the basic gameplay designs. Because if you've ever played Infinite Warfare, you know that multiplayer and zombies is basically like IW spin on Black Ops 3. It's Black Ops 3, but evolved for what IW wanted. Which makes sense when you consider that Treyarch helped them make those gameplay systems for IW.
Yeah. Which is interesting, actually.
Which it's interesting, and I think it's one of the, I could be wrong on this one. It's one of the first times where we'll see what will commonly happen in the future is Treyarch helping out with the other studios make their games. And so
then
during 2016 and 2017, Infinite Warfare was not a well-received game. People were not playing it a lot. The sales weren't great. I mean, they're good for a Call of Duty, but overall they weren't great. Weren't up to Activision's standards. They knew this, which is why they packed in Modern Warfare Remaster. But Black Ops 3 actually retained a healthy player count during Infinite Warfare's life cycle. So much so that, like, I played on Steam at the time. I've been playing on Steam for PC, for Call of Duty since Black Ops 3. And it was the only time I've ever seen a Call of Duty, not during its main year, have a higher player count than the actual main Call of Duty, or actually keep a consistent player count. Because the Call of Duties before Black Ops 3 were like 1,000 or below. While Black Ops 3 during Infinite Warfare was consistently keeping like anywhere between like 5 to 13k players daily, which was like unprecedented for a Steam PC Call of Duty.
Yeah, and if I also remember correctly as well, it was really well, like if I remember, BO3 was really well on console too. Because I've been a console player until I moved to a little PC. I'm still going to be a console player no matter what, because I am thinking of getting a new Series S to like play Black Ops 2 Zombies with my girlfriend, but that aside, it was really popular back in the day for both console and PC. But Infinite Warfare, I'll even tell you right now, I did not play Infinite Warfare that much because, again, I just didn't like Infinite Warfare. Now, don't get me wrong, Infinite Warfare Zombies was good. But when you got to Infinite Warfare a bit, it did make sense why a lot of people didn't like it, because one, it was a copy of BO3, and two, it wasn't a really good game. But later on now, people are actually making it sense why it's a good game now.
The issue with like Infinite Warfare was just wrong place, wrong time. It was the third futuristic game in a row by Call of Duty, and at that point, like even like halfway through Black Ops 3's life cycle, people were sick of the futuristic setting, and they didn't want jetpacks anymore. They wanted boots on ground. They were also sick of supply drops, and all Infinite Warfare did was just do more of that. And because of that, it was the most disliked video on YouTube for the longest time. I don't know if it's been dethroned yet, but I do know it held that title for a long time.
I think BO7 dethroned that, didn't it? Or no?
It was what?
Did BO7 dethrone that?
Oh, I don't know.
That'd be interesting though. But anyways, on to 2017, people.
So we have
That being the Zombie Chronicles and mini events.
And for 2017, Zombie Chronicles was already planned during Black Ops 3, so that was something that was going to happen regardless. But because of the higher player retention that Black Ops 3 had seen, it would also see smaller content updates with more supply drop cosmetics, new weapons, limited time camo events, little events like that, just to keep feeding the small population that was still on Black Ops 3 that was keeping it alive.
Yeah.
Which was a great thing for Black Ops 3 players. And then Zombie Chronicles itself, there was a leaked build for Black Ops 2 that leaked I think last year. And it had an early version of a DLC 5 that had the maps ported in, but they weren't fully completed. And it was a lot of the maps that we would see in Zombie Chronicles. And what we would basically learn is that in the dev documents for Black Ops 3, and I think it might have been Black Ops 2 as well, is that the DLC was scrapped because they didn't have resources and time to finish it. And because they already had the bones for it started, they decided that they could repurpose what was created for Black Ops 2 and use it to create Zombie Chronicles and Black Ops 3, which is basically where everything started for this DLC pack.
Yep. And what's even funny enough is that, if I remember correctly, Zombies Chronicles back in the BO2 build was going to have the World at War maps and the BO1 maps actually as well. And funny enough, if you want guys to know a fun fact about Nuketown and Moon, Area 55 and Nuketown Zombies takes place near each other.
Well, not the something or two, but I think you meant Area 51. Yeah, not only did they take place near each other because they're both in Nevada, but they also took place at the same time. You know, if you play Nuketown, you can hear the TV that has quotes from Richtofen actively going through the Easter egg steps of Moon. And then the moment the game ends, the game over screen shows the rockets from Moon hitting down onto Nuketown and destroying the Earth.
Exactly. Which, that was really interesting. Like, that was one really good thing about Moon and Nuketown taking place at the same time, because it actually told you about the story more. Because, if I remember correctly, Nuketown Zombies was like, what, Broken Arrow facility, if I remember correctly? Like, one of the Broken Arrow facilities?
At the time, I don't think it was known. We did know about the Nuketown drill because it was in the loading screen. We knew that Marlton was there for whatever reason. But I think the assumed thing was that there was just a team of people that went in there to investigate the site because of the nuke going off. And then there was a zombie outbreak that just happened at the same time. That was the only thing that was pretty much known. The Broken Arrow stuff, establishing Nuketown Zombies as Camp Edward, wouldn't be something that was established into the lore until like Black Ops 4. With Alpha Omega and then documents and classified hinting towards a Camp Edward.
Yeah. Now, as for the mini events, though, this is interesting. Like you said, mini events.
Yeah, so they had these little things. They're called there was you might know this one. There was Days of Summer. There was
oh, those ones in World War II. Not World War II. World War II.
Yeah, World War II had that as well. So Days of Summer started out on Modern Warfare Remastered, Infinite Warfare, and Black Ops 3, and would be a continuous thing that would happen every year up until Black Ops 4. I think it might have been the last year of Days of Summer, but I could be wrong. But yeah, the Days of Summer event for Black Ops 3, which also added Cherry Fizz camo, which is a very, very popular camo.
Yes.
Off the top of my head, they had Days of Summer. They had 8 Days of the Undead, which was came out right after Zombie Chronicles. And then they had a Halloween celebration event, which added the Zetsubo no Shima Pack-a-Punch camo.
Yeah, again, if you guys want to know some, yes, I might have played the classic and modern era, but just to let you guys know, I didn't always play Call of Duty all the time, because again, I was a young one, and again, even though I'm 21 years old now, I have been playing Call of Duty for a while, and I haven't played the mini events because again, I just played other games instead of those, you know? I didn't play COD all the time when I was younger, but then again, those were really interesting to know.
So, like, during the time, it was fun to get... Because every one of these mini-events would add new weapons into supply drops. Like, I think Days of Summer added the AN-94 to Black Ops 3. Which, that was great. The downside is that during these mini-events, they would also add limited-time supply drop camos, which means you had to get on multiplayer, because at the time, you could only earn supply drops from multiplayer. You couldn't earn it from zombies. You couldn't earn it from playing co-op campaign. So you had to get on multiplayer to earn these camos, which sucks if it's a zombies camo, but you know you're a zombies player and you have to play multiplayer to get a zombies camo, like Into the Void.
Which it did really suck, from what I've heard.
Yeah, fucking. I know some people want supply drops to come back because they want a free DLC. They want free cosmetics. They don't like having only cosmetics be paid for. But personally, I think there's a better system than supply drops to bring back. Supply drops is I love supply drops. I hated them during Black Ops 3. For me personally, that's what ruined the multiplayer for me with supply drops. So hopefully, if Call of Duty does decide to get away from the bundle system, they do something other than supply drops, because they're at more.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll even tell you right now, I didn't like the supply drops, and I'll even tell you right now, people might tell me this, you're crazy, but then again, in later years now, like in like the modern COD era, since we have battle passes and stuff, I would say I would prefer the modern pass, or not the modern pass, the battle passes over the supply drops, because again, even though they might cost money, and Black Cell costs money too, in my opinion, and this is just me, but battle passes are kind of better than supply drops.
If I was to do anything to change the current system, just for adjustments, not really like revolutionizing it, I would make it so that battle passes don't expire. If you missed a battle pass, you could just go back and buy it whenever you want, and then work on it whenever you want, and it's just a permanent thing you could always grind for in the Call of Duty games, instead of being like, hey, you need to get on the game now, or you'll just never have this thing ever. Because there are like there are characters in modern Call of Duty games that you just can't play as anymore because they're Battle Pass exclusive. Like in Black Ops 6, we have Hudson, Stitch, Sims, characters that you really shouldn't have to miss out on just because they do a Battle Pass system.
Yeah. And I'll even admit right now, my favorite thing about like the battle passes over the supply drops is that supply drops were really weird, if I'm being honest. Like, don't get me wrong, battle passes are weird as well too. But I do think battle passes are a little bit better than supply drops because, again, supply drops were really RNG if you look at it.
Supply drops were really RNG, and they had tons of filler content.
Now we are going to go to 2018. The BO3 mini events and Back in the Black map packs and Black Ops 4.
So, throughout the beginning and before Black Ops 4 came out, Black Ops 3 had 2 more mini events. If I remember off the top of my head, they're called like Operation Swarm, and it was a winter themed operation. I can't remember what it was. Those two
Yeah.
added the Absolute Zero camo, which has come back in Black Ops 7, and they added the Hive camo, which is like a honeycomb amber camo. They added weapons, and they added. They also added a new weathered version of different maps. Like the winter one added a winter redwood, which was a snowy version of the redwood map, and then the Hive operation added nighttime fringe. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, nighttime fringe and snowy redwood were actually, or winter redwood were add to those. I think they're also add to the Zombie Chronicles as well. Like if you bought the Zombie Chronicles DLC pack, you get BO3 like as the game. You get BO3 the game. Those two bonus DLC maps being Winter Redwood and Nighttime Fringe, and Zombie Chronicles.
So kind of after Zombie Chronicles came out, they made it so the base game of Black Ops 3, whenever you bought it, would give you Zombie Chronicles with it. It was bundled as the base game. And these two maps, they came out as just free DLC. They were just for everybody.
Ah.
Yeah, so they just got
okay.
it. And then so for the Back in Black map pack, it was a PlayStation exclusive pre-order bonus for those who pre-ordered Black Ops 4. And it would include 4 remade maps, including, off the top of my head, Slums, Jungle, Summit, and Firing Range. And again, these are all PlayStation 4 exclusive. You're not getting these on PCs, you're not getting these on Xbox. They have the files referencing the maps, they don't have any of the data for the maps on those platforms. And basically what this was a teaser for content you'll be able to play in Black Ops 4, because all 4 of those maps would have been launch maps for Black Ops 4 and got backported to Black Ops 3. And if you want to be a little funny about it, you could say it was carry backwards.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Now onto BO4, I know it had a lot of development changes. For example, the campaign originally taking place in 2075.
Yeah, originally it was going to be a
10 years after. Yeah, originally, but it got canceled and then had another campaign reimagined where I think it was next second plan originally was going to be about the operators. That's in the story of BO4 and Blackout.
From what I remember, because I'm sure the Black Ops 4 dev documents that are out there could detail this way better. I don't know. This is off the top of my head. The original idea for Black Ops 4 was that, yeah, it would take place after Black Ops 3. And what would have happened is that there would have been the EMP that went off that would have disabled all the advanced movement tech, which is the reason why the game would have been boots on ground instead of jetpacks. The campaign would have been a co-op campaign where it was, if I remember correctly, it was 2 versus 2 or 1v1, where you guys would try to go through the events of the campaign and beat each other through different events that would happen, and whoever won would have a different outcome. You could basically keep replaying it to get different outcomes for which team won, this and that. But the whole entire idea for a co-op campaign fell through because playtesters did not like it. They did not vibe with it. They didn't think it was good. They thought it was bad. So it got scrapped altogether. And because of battle royales becoming popular at the time with PUBG, H1Z1, Fortnite, they decided to put in a BR mode into Black Ops 4 with Blackout, which I think they developed it in like 6 months, if I remember correctly. 6 months or a year, so something like less than a year. And originally, actually, they wanted to call Blackout Warzone, but Activision made them change it to Blackout, which, of course, Infinity would eventually call their Battle Royale mode Warzone the next year. So because of all this tumultuous development, they didn't have a lot of time and resources to work on stuff. We got what we got at launch. It was a buggy mess. Blue screens were everywhere. The only way you could have completed the classified Easter egg at launch was legitimately playing cel-shaded and glitching the game to speed run the high round. It was a buggy mess. People hated it, and it pretty much got Black Ops 4 off to a bad start that would continue to spiral and snowball into the horrible reception of Black Ops 4 got.
Oh, don't forget the blue screen of death on PS4 edition. Those crashes.
Blue screening was
Like,
crazy.
those were really, and I saw Noah and Milo get pissed off about it. Like, that's crazy.
The clip of Noah J throwing old trusty.
Yes. But, and going over BO4, how do I say it? I was gonna say, like, straight up, that with the season packs, right, this would have been, like, the very first game to kind of have seasons mixed with DLC packs a little bit as well. But
this would pretty much be, like, the first game. So, this would be the first game that pretty much experiment with a lot of the systems we see today with battle passes, bundles, live seasons. We first started seeing a tiny little bit of them experimenting with it in Black Ops 3. For one of the final content updates for Black Ops 3, they actually released specialist skin bundles for every specialist in the game. And they had two versions of it. They had one where you would buy it, and then you had to play the game a little bit to earn the skin. And then another version where if you paid more for it, you would unlock the skin instantly. And we would see that continued in Black Ops 4. So they integrated, they had the battle pass system. And what they would do is that for the bundles, you would buy the bundle, and this was just for only some, these were called like contract bundles or something like that. You would buy the bundle, and then you had to earn at least like 5 to 6 tiers of the battle pass in order to unlock everything. In the bundle. Which, if you wanted to skip that, you could just buy battle pass tiers, but still, it was not great.
Yeah, but again, this was like the first time they were also experimenting to put both DLC packs mixed with the Battle Pass stuff as well, until what we got now is the free content updates with Battle Passes.
Yeah, so the only upside at the time, so because we also had supply drops as well. We had supply drops, Battle Passes, bundles, Season Pass, a shop where you just straight up buy stuff with COD points. The only upside
lots of money.
Lots of money. And we also had the Nebulium plasma system in Zombies. The only upside at the time was that the battle passes were completely free. And when the battle pass ended, it didn't just disappear forever. Everything in the battle pass got added to supply drops. Now, eventually, later on, they would revolutionize the black market system for it to be way better. You can just you can trade supply drop cases for bundles in the shops. You didn't have to pay for everything in the shop. It would make it so you can collect up supply drops and use them to trade for specific weapons or weapon blueprints. At launch, you could not earn anything from zombies from the black market system or battle passes, and they would have to update zombies later on to allow you to get battle pass tier skips and earn supply drop cases.
I think if I also remember correctly as well, this would have been, and this is why I remember correctly, I think it was like when Alpha Omega and Tag Their Tongue were coming out. Those were outsourced to Activision Shanghai from Treyarch, because Treyarch was forced to be put on a Call of Duty project that I believe they didn't want to develop at all, because that was originally a Sledgehammer title being called Call of Duty Cold War, then got turned into Black Ops Cold War.
Yeah, well, let's fully transition into being into 2019 before we touch on that.
Yes.
We're technically still in 2018.
Yeah,
so before the end of the new year, they would release Operation First Strike and Operation Absolute Zero. Operation First Strike was like pretty much like it was the first season, and it was very experimental. They didn't know what they were doing with the battle pass system yet, or they wanted to deal with it. It was originally 200 tiers of battle pass, and it was like impossible.
Yeah.
Like, I hated doing that thing. And then we got into Operation Absolute Zero, which is season 2. And this time they actually like got it down a little bit more pat. This is when zombies started actually being able to complete battle passes. They pulled it back down to 100 tiers. All the weapons were earnable in the battle pass. You didn't have to do anything in supply drops, at least for the time being. And then we also got Dead of the Night, which was a shadow dropped. And because of that, it never really got the love it deserved. And then it was also very overcomplicated, which soured people's taste after being, for one, soured people's taste from the buggy launch that was Black Ops 4, and then also made them frustrated with wanting to see where Aether would go and finish, but instead they would have to sit with Chaos for a little bit until they got to see that.
Yeah.
So ready to go into 2019? Anything you want to touch on?
Yes. Yes. 2019 being BO4 Season 3 to 6, Operation Grand Heist, Spectre Rising, Apocalypse Z, and Dark Divide.
So, for the first, for Operation Grand Heist and Spectre Rising, they had not had to shift over to work on Black Ops Cold War yet. They were still working on a full budget. They were still working on fully focusing on Black Ops 4. And so for those seasons, they actually felt fleshed out. They felt like they were full seasons. Ancient Evil, you could release with Spectre Rising or Grand. I think it might have been Grand Heist. I can't remember exactly. When it released, it had a full intro cutscene, a full outro cutscene, a full main quest. The only thing that was a bit off about it is that it had 0 side quests, which was a bit weird. But it would be a telling sign for what was to come. Well, we didn't really know what that meant at the time. We just knew that it was so weird that this has no side quest. Going into what?
I said exactly.
And then going into Alpha Omega and Tagger Toten, we pretty much like caught Treyarch with their pants down. The intro and outro cutscenes were all 2D animated. The maps themselves had main quest and mini quest, but you could tell that it was very scaled back and like something was very off about it. What we will find out later is that at the time, their budget had gotten slashed, and they pretty much only made the blueprints for these maps, and the maps themselves had to be finished by Activision Shanghai because Treyarch needed all the resources they could to work on Black Ops Cold War, which was originally supposed to be a Sledgehammer Raven project that fell through because they couldn't cooperate.
Yep. I think it's mainly because, if I remember correctly, both Sledgehammer and Raven got into arguments for unknown reasons, by the way. They were into arguments, so Activision grabbed Treyarch and be like, okay, Sledgehammer, you're not working on the project. Treyarch, Raven, you work on this project together since Sledgehammer can't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it was, I don't know what all they are, like, what they had fights about, what they argued about. But what I do know is that they couldn't get along, and that's why Treyarch needed to step up and wrangle it all together. From what we do know that existed in the past to what we got now is that the newer characters were originally always supposed to be there. Like Adler, Sims, and Park were characters that were always going to be in the original version of Cold War. It's just that when it came over to being Black Ops Cold War, it got transitioned to being Black Ops characters included with it.
Yeah. And now the 2020, we could start with Cold War first, because I kind of want to give my thoughts on this as well with Cold War, is because Cold War kind of felt like, to many people that I've seen, it felt like a reboot to the Call of Duty series, but later on, Treyarch confirmed that Cold War was canon to the Black Ops lore. Like, if we're gonna go in order, it'd be World at War, BO1, Cold War, BO2 1980s missions, BO6, Black Ops 2 2025 missions, BO7, BO4, and BO3. And it kind of felt like, and if I'm being honest, Cold War was the very first campaign that Raven worked on with Treyarch. I remember correctly that as well.
Yeah.
I know Raven's worked with Treyarch in the past, mainly with the original Black Ops, but Treyarch has been mainly doing their campaigns of full time until like after BO3. Because BO3 was like the fully campaign they made, but Cold War, I know Treyarch collaborated with them, but Raven was heads of the campaign development team. That's all I know until we get to later on now, but we'll focus on a little bit. But going on to like Cold War pretty much is that this was like a back to the ground of what Treyarch was doing for their next Call of Duty games. Another one would have been like Raven making the campaign, and this is where the zombies mode shifted.
So Cold War and Black Ops 4 is pretty much where it started to be that, like, so before then, everything Treyarch was putting out, they were pretty much putting out out of their own volition and out of their own plans. At this point, it was pretty much like Treyarch needs to come in and fix what's going on, or needs to come in and help. This would start the cycle of Treyarch constantly being put onto different projects that are not their own game. With Black Ops Cold War, it was made during COVID-19. They were already picking up the scraps of a canceled game, and they were having to do it under a tight timetable. So it came out. It was a little buggy. It wasn't terribly buggy, but it came out feeling very barren. There wasn't a lot of content at launch. Zombies had one map, and if you're on PlayStation, they had the Onslaught mode, but the launch version of Onslaught wasn't that good either. The campaign was good. The campaign was very good writing, very good presentation, but it was very short. And then the multiplayer was missing a lot. There wasn't a ton of maps. The weapon pool was very small. It was obvious that the game was made with what they were working with and what they could do, and they couldn't completely do what they wanted with the game.
Exactly. And if I remember correctly as well, like there was also a BO4 canceled year 2 as well. Like a year 2 got canceled because if I also remember from the notes, it's because Treyarch had to be forced to work on Cold War pretty much. That's why we didn't get a year 2 BO4. And if I also remember correctly, wasn't Cold War even confirmed by Kevin Drew? Like before BO6 came out, he said Cold War was worked in like a year. Like nearly to almost under a year to a year.
I could
for zombies.
be. I don't remember. I don't know if that was an exact quote. From what I think I remember, I think it was like a year and a half they had to make Cold War.
Yeah, a year and a half, like a year to a year and a half. But I remember him saying that it was rushed. That's why pretty much that happened, was because of why Cold War was like that, was because it was rushed. Treyarch didn't have enough time. I mean, yeah, they had a year, but then again, that still didn't get enough development time.
Not nearly.
Now in the Vanguard, though, I think it was confirmed or leaked that it only had 8 months of development, I believe, right?
It could be 8. I thought it was like 6 months, but it could have been 8.
6 to 8 months.
Yeah, 6
which
to 8
now
months.
we're on 2021. Like Cold War Season 1 pretty much just...
It was Season 1 had come out before 2021, but Season 1 Reloaded is when 2021 was the first
came out
for 2021, yeah.
Yeah. And if I also remember correctly, I think Cold War kind of got better and better over time in 2021 as well, where we got a little bit more of maps for zombies, and our first introduction of an experiment mode, Outbreak.
Open world zombies. Now, I don't know if you played Outbreak at launch. I did play Outbreak at launch. It was.
I heard it's horrendous at launch.
It was very rough at launch. There wasn't a lot to do. There was only like 3 maps at the time. Not a lot of objectives. It was a very, very rough launch. But for Black Ops Cold War, the seasonal content definitely helped the game out a lot. If Cold War today was still what the game was at launch, I think it would like be like a 5 out of 10. The seasonal content helped fill the game out, and it actually felt like a full game. Like by the time Season 3 came out, like it felt like they actually caught up. They were able to put out everything they needed to. The only issue is that for zombies, at least, a lot of the content that they were putting out for zombies was a lot of reuse. It was a lot of multiplayer maps. It was a lot of like campaign maps. It was just stuff they could do with the time they had to do, which I don't blame them for. You know, it was under COVID. It was under the timetables. But because of that,
exactly.
it resulted in a gameplay experience for Cold War that felt very shallow. Cold War was definitely definitely a game made for casuals, which it needed to do after Black Ops 4 pretty much like lost the casual audience of zombies. But it held on to the being a casual game for way too long, and it really, to me, I really wasn't interested in Cold War Zombies until Mauer. Mauer was what really hooked me into the story, and I actually got interested into what was going on in the game.
Yeah, and funny enough, there is a lot of intel, and if I remember correctly, with like there's so much intel in like all the maps in Outbreak. I think in total that's 665 like intel pieces altogether.
Might be. I know it's a humongous number. It's very daunting if you've never, if you didn't collect intel throughout the life cycle. It was very daunting to try to get all the intel after the game was over.
Yeah. Because all the intel was so much. Because you got intel in like D Machine, Mauer, Doto, and Firebase and Forsaken, but you also had intel in Outbreak as well, and I mean a lot of intel in
Outbreak would get new intel with every seasonal update. Not only the launch season, but also the Reloaded update. It was new intel for Outbreak every single time, and there's so much intel to collect for Outbreak right now.
Yeah. And funny enough, Outbreak has 266 pieces of intel.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, and
some of the intel you can only collect, there's gold chest intel that you can only collect once per match. Which is crazy when you're trying to collect all the intel, because whenever I was collecting the intel, I would literally go in, do a gold chest event, exfil over and over again, just because that was the only way I could get that intel as fast as possible.
Yeah, and if I also remember correctly as well, I never collected all the intel, but then again, I also really, I was fascinated with the intel, but there was one complaint a lot of people in the community had, that being, the intel told too much of the story, and that was one complaint that a lot of people had about the intel in Cold War Zombies, was that it told too much of the intel.
Yeah, the story was it relied too heavily on the intel to tell the story that was happening, and if you didn't even follow the intel at all throughout all of Cold War, which if you did follow it was rewarding to know what was going on, but if you didn't follow it, you had no idea what the fuck was going on. And by the time Forsaken came out, you had no idea who Zakov was. You had no idea who the Forsaken was. You had no idea all the seeds they had planted throughout the storyline, because it was all in intel, all of it. In order to follow Zakov's storyline, you had to do the Dark Aether, Aether Machine trials that would sometimes give you intel for rewards. And if you just never read it, never looked at it, or even knew how to collect it, you just missed out on the entire setup of the main villain of Cold War.
And if I also remember correctly as well, Onslaught also had intel as well.
It did. Which, if I remember correctly, I think I could be wrong. I think the Onslaught intel actually is what teased Liberty Falls in Black Ops 6. It teased.
I think it was both Onslaught and Outbreak.
It could have been Outbreak as well. I don't remember exactly. I know that that intel is what teased a West Virginia town that had tunnels dug underneath them and a wall built around it, which we would find out to be Liberty Falls, except without the wall. The tunnels were still there, but you only got to see it in Shattered Veil.
Yeah, which
kind of disappointing.
Getting to like, now we're gonna go on to both Vanguard Zombies and like the Vanguard Zombies. Pretty much is because Vanguard Zombies was, and Rank Play was the next tile that Treyarch had to work on for this was their very first game to work with Sledgehammer, by the way. But I will say this right now as well, Vanguard Zombies had an interesting story, but the gameplay was shit.
Vanguard Zombies was another game where Treyarch had to whip up something within a short period of time, and they had to do it because Vanguard did not have a third mode ready by Sledgehammer. Sledgehammer only had enough time to make a campaign and a multiplayer. They didn't have the resources to make a zombies, so Treyarch pretty much had to go over and make zombies for Sledgehammer on Vanguard, which, like you said, the writing was great. It did do a lot of improvements over Cold War that people complained about, so they improved the art, they improved the operator voice lines, even though people would have preferred a dedicated crew. What we were working with at the time was better than what was presented in Cold War. And they were doing more systems, like they had no more armored zombies. They were getting away from some of the systems that people complained about, like the Ethereum upgrade tracks and out of game upgrades, so those all in game. But because of the tight timetables and lack of resources to do anything, the game came out barren. There was almost nothing in there. It was like launch Outbreak with less features. It was very shallow. You played one match of it, and you pretty much experienced all the zombies at that point.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, yeah, Vanguard Zombies was stupid. Yeah, people are like, oh, Van Goated is a really good zombies mode. I'm like, bruh.
From what it turned in, so my opinion on Vanguard is that I think Vanguard really does have the potential to be a good game. It has a lot of seeds of good ideas and a lot of like a lot of diamonds and a ton of rough. But it just didn't have the time or the resources to really flesh out what it wanted to be and what it wanted to do. So it really is just a game of like wasted potential.
Yeah. Now, Vanguard Zombies was really interesting with his story, like I said, but when it came to gameplay and all that, it sucked ass. I will admit that.
It was a wet, stinky diaper.
Yeah, Shino Numa Reborn was actually amazing, don't get me wrong there, it was. But when it came to the rest of the maps, they were really awful. Now, Cortifex, though, the Cortifex boss fight in the Archon was really amazing. That was actually one thing I really liked about the Archon was the boss fight, and that was it.
Yeah, which was pretty much the only, like, marketing, like, the only thing marketable about the Archon was the boss fight, which they pretty much, this is going into 2022 now, considering we're talking about the Archon and Shinonuma. Pretty much, the thing they said, they detailed this in a blog post, I don't know if you remember, before the Archon came out, they basically said that, like, we had the decision to either make a new map, or make a very interesting Easter egg and boss fight, and we chose to do a boss fight, which is why the Archon is just Terra Maledicta, but green and round based. And though I'm not a big fan of that aspect of the map, I do think it was worth it in the fact that we did get that awesome boss fight against Cortifex.
Cortifex was really amazing. And again, like I said, the story was interesting, but I feel like this was like what the last game the Cold War writers wrote for.
It was, so I think it was the last game that there's one name that's very infamous, if you know anything about the writing team on Treyarch. Joseph, I can't remember his last name, but his name is Joseph. This would be his last game that he would work on, and he was pretty much like a lore master over at Treyarch. He did all the intel. He knew the ins and outs of campaign and zombies to like know all the intricacies and like be able to fact check himself. Which is why we see the writing decline of zombies after this game
later on
into the other future titles.
But then again,
and so,
anyways,
Treyarch would also work on ranked play for Vanguard Zombies. It's not really much for me to talk about. Ranked play is ranked play. I don't play ranked play. That's not my thing.
Yeah, they've been working on ranked play for from Cold War, Vanguard.
They pretty much become the ranked play
MW
team, starting with Cold War.
Yeah, the ranked play team starting with Cold War, pretty much. Like from Cold War up to BL7, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now into MW4 now as well.
Yeah, which I'm not surprised by, but still Treyarch is working on another game that isn't theirs.
Now on to Modern Warfare Zombies, which...
Well, 2023, I just wanted.
Yeah.
We're working on 2023 now.
Yep. And Modern Warfare Zombies. Which, funny enough, this story was interesting, and I am not gonna lie. Yes, I do think later on the story might have been getting a little mixed bagged, but Modern Warfare Zombies actually still told a great story, not gonna lie. And here's the best part. When the mode launched, it was really amazing for people, but time had to come to a close where Treyarch confirmed that after Season 1 of MW23, they had to go work on their own projects, being BO6 and BO7, but we'll get later on to that. But Modern Warfare Zombies was really interesting. But here's the twist. Treyarch wasn't originally supposed to make this mode. It was supposed to be a DMZ 2.0, but Ghost of Hope leaked it out, stating the fact that due to IW being crybabies, they had to basically put Treyarch into the mix of making MWZ pretty much, and it's kind of why we had to reuse assets of Modern Warfare Zombies mixed with DMZ pretty much. Like, that reuse assets of DMZ.
So, yeah, from what I know, Modern Warfare Zombies was built off the base of DMZ Season 3 of Modern Warfare 2. And from what I've heard from DMZ players, is that they can especially tell this because there was quality of life updates made to DMZ after Season 3 that were missing from Modern Warfare Zombies when it came out. And so, Modern Warfare Zombies comes out. I played it when it came out. I thought it was a great time. I had a great experience with it. The story started out really interesting. We met Ava Jansen, we met Soap, we met Zakhaev, Ravenov is back, we met SSO Green, and we were really interested in seeing where the story was going to go from here. The game launched with the 3 act missions, which ended with us discovering that Jensen has some sort of tie to the Dark Aether, and then us defeating the Orcus Worm boss and Zakhaev basically running off after that. And this is a very promising start. Treyarch would also work on Season 1, which would be their last season. They would have the story pretty much left pre-written for High Moon Studios and Sledgehammer to pick up after they left. But anything gameplay-wise was just on them at that point, on the other studios at that point.
Yeah.
So the story started off, and what was very interesting about it is that we were getting our first seeds of like what was going to happen in the sequel to Cold War, being Black Ops 6. Because Black Ops Cold War ended off on a very, very strong note, and a cliffhanger that left everyone interested in seeing where the story would go from that point on. And so it's getting little seeds and little like hints at what might happen to in the events of Black Ops 6 left the community very interested, very chomping at the bit. And not only that, the gameplay of Modern Warfare Zombies is very fun. There is in the long run, there is a lot of flaws that came from the design of the game, which could be attributed to its tight timetables of development. But in my personal opinion, I had a great time with Urzikstan. Operation Deadbolt. I thought it was, in my opinion, I thought it was way better than Outbreak. I had a lot more fun on Modern Warfare Zombies than I did Outbreak. I think Modern Warfare Zombies was the perfect evolution of where to take Outbreak. The map felt like it was because of the tiered difficulty system and the play spaces. Modern Warfare Zombies felt like it was actually more of a zombies experience than Outbreak did, because Outbreak really did just felt like you're playing on a giant multiplayer map. Where Urzikstan, it actually felt like the map itself was catering to being a zombies experience with the shifting difficulty tiers and the environment changing depending on whether you did a Ghost Infested Stronghold, a holdout, whatever was going on in that area.
Mhm.
It just to me was a
Yeah.
way better version of open world zombies than Outbreak was.
Mhm. Yeah. But here's one flaw I do have though with the game is that I think it was later down the line for MW23, like around when season 4 came out. That is when servers have been starting to get shitty as fuck.
Yeah, I remember the
What?
because it was an extraction shooter based mode. If you crashed, there was a chance that you just lost your character that you were working on. Because how extraction shooters work is that you progress and upgrade a single character, and if you die, you pretty much reset from 0. And the issues with the servers in Modern Warfare Zombies caused a lot of people to crash, reset, server disconnect. That caused a lot of frustrations. It was just caused a lot of frustration because you pretty much wouldn't have reset regardless, but now you're just forced to reset. So that caused a lot of players who did want to keep playing to get pushed off the game and not want to play it anymore because they just couldn't progress.
Yeah.
And so,
and if
what?
And if I remember correctly as well with like MWZ, even though it was a great thing and all of that, I feel like, and this is just me, this is where the story kinda also like season 3, 4, and a bit of 5 was telling us intel about Liberty Falls.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the last like act mission in season 5 Reloaded, and by the way guys, this is when they actually started the COD HQ stuff. Like August 21st would have been the first part of the update where they would put COD HQ fully online, where it would make your space feel less buffy, but it didn't help at all.
So yeah,
it was just
COD HQ was so it was born from an issue that started in Modern Warfare 2019. Warzone was never meant to continue on after 2019. We're supposed to get Blackout 2 during Cold War. But what happened is that Warzone was so popular that they decided to continue on into year 2 and integrate the Cold War content, cancel Blackout for Cold War, and then integrate the Cold War content into Modern Warfare Warzone. But the issue is that the Warzone app itself was just a game mode inside of Modern Warfare 2019. So anytime they wanted to update Warzone, they were pretty much updating Modern Warfare 2019, and that game...
You were lagging a bit, by the way.
Oh, was I?
Yeah, you were lagging on my end.
I mean, on my end in the video, because I'm recording, I will also find anyways.
But
did you miss anything I said?
Yeah, I heard you say that with Cold War they integrated the Cold War stuff into Warzone pretty much as a year 2 update for Warzone pretty much.
Yeah, so when the issue was that because they were on separate engines, all the Cold War assets that had to get imported into Warzone pretty much had to get remade to work in the Modern Warfare 2019 engine, which is why if you remember back in the day when you played Warzone and you saw some of the Cold War assets, they looked a little bit off, not right. One big example is Mason. If you ever look at Mason's face in Warzone, it just like, it looks uncanny and weird. And they also had to do this with Vanguard, where they just imported all of Vanguard's data into Modern Warfare 2019, which is why to this day, if you ever install Modern Warfare 2019, the Warzone data itself is part of the base install, and the game fully installed is like over 200 gigabytes. And even though Warzone 1 servers are offline, they never remove that data from Modern Warfare 2019, so you have to download all that data for Warzone, even though you cannot play Warzone. And so because of all these issues that sprung from Modern Warfare 2019 Warzone, they came up with the idea of COD HQ and having all the games be on the same engine, so it'd be easier to share assets between games, and Warzone wouldn't be forever tied to one single game. Basically, since MW2, Warzone has just been a game mode attached to the latest Call of Duty. But because of COD HQ and the
Mhm.
same engine and the ability to share assets, it's been easier for them to transition Warzone into the next game and integrate the assets from the next game into current Warzone than it would have been during Modern Warfare 2019 Warzone, which
Yeah.
which caused a lot of other issues in the games itself, but was beneficiary to Warzone and asset sharing, and then also the carry forward experiment that was in Modern Warfare 3.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then so
And
go ahead.
that's pretty much that for the COD HQ stuff, pretty much, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, for pretty much that's a big explanation for COD HQ. And that's pretty much it for everything in 2023. And then for 2024, we have the. I want to touch on the Modern Warfare 3 live seasons, because even though Treyarch didn't fully didn't develop the live seasons for Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, they still had a managerial position on it. They pretty much like overlooked it, and they would talk to content creators about content coming out for it, but they weren't developing it. They just had oversight and the storytelling and then what was happening in the game. That's pretty much what I wanted to touch on in the Modern Warfare 3 Zombies.
Now on to Black Ops 6 Zombies. And oh boy, I'm gonna tell you right now, this is what pissed off the community the most in BO6 Zombies. Because when the launch came, or before launch, a lot of people hated Liberty Falls and started calling it Liberty Balls and decided to go out. You remember the outrage that Kevin Drew got at COD Next about Liberty Falls?
Yes. Trust me, I was watching the live streams.
Yeah, a lot of people got so fucking pissed off about it. And fun fact, there was originally supposed to be a Zombies beta for BO6, but that got canceled.
Yep.
Why? Because they had to fix the lighting and issues with Liberty Falls.
They pretty much didn't want players'
yeah.
first impressions of Black Ops 6 to be Liberty Falls after the poor reception it got during COD Next.
Now, I do want to say this with you guys as well. There was concept art leaked from the official COD book that came out to some people early, where it showed what Liberty Falls was originally going to look like, and another version of what Liberty Falls is going to look like. And it basically settles down to this. BO6's Liberty Falls was meant to be an Outbreak map and not MWZ. So I'm wanting to bet you right now, MWZ was supposed to happen later down the road. Or maybe as a different story, or it wasn't supposed to happen at all. I think it was probably because it wasn't supposed to happen at all, and they were saving Outbreak for BO6, because like Echoes of Hope even stated, due to Infinity Ward not making DMZ2, Treyarch was forced to make MWZ, which led to them going back to round-based maps for both BO6 and BO7, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
which, if you don't remember, so Modern Warfare Zombies was received well at launch, but people were still unhappy with the fact that it wasn't round-based. People wanted round-based back. After Vanguard pretty much neglected round-based for most of the year, and Modern Warfare Zombies launched with another open world experience that people were already kind of sick of, because of Cold War's DLC season primarily being made up of Outbreak updates. It left a lot of people unhappy with what was being delivered and wanting round-based maps more and more.
Exactly. And if we're also being honest here as well, the concept art for Liberty Falls, the first image is where there's the crew or the strike team looking over the rock and pointing at Liberty Falls. And that, I think you've seen the picture, right?
I've seen it, yeah.
If you compare a picture to Harper's Ferry in that picture, don't you think Treyarch drew over Harper's Ferry, a picture of Harper's Ferry like that?
Yeah.
And just... Because again, just to give you guys clarification as well, Harper's Ferry is literally the river, the rock that they're standing on is in Maryland. That is in Maryland. Where they're standing at right now is Maryland.
So I don't know.
But when you cross the... But if you cross the river, that is West Virginia.
Yeah. And I don't know. So a lot of work was already completed on the Liberty Falls big map, outbreak map. Which, I mean, you can tell because you can see Shattered Veil and Reckoning from within Liberty Falls, which Liberty Falls is the launch map. You can already see the final map. You know, you can tell that it was already completed. At least mostly completed. There's also some of the sections of the Liberty Falls outbreak map, I'm pretty sure got cut out and used for multiplayer maps, and one which is obviously Rewind because it tells you when you load into it is Liberty Falls, West Virginia, and 2 Derelict, which doesn't say anything about Liberty Falls, but it does take place in West Virginia, and there's no other aspects of Black Ops 6 that take place in West Virginia, whether it be the campaign or the multiplayer story, other than Liberty Falls and zombies.
And I even, and this is funny enough, Ghost of Hope I think even leaked out saying straight up that Rewind was going to be part of the Outbreak map originally.
Which wouldn't surprise me at all.
It wouldn't surprise me at all, but the only thing is, I feel like Derelict could fit in there as well, but it would have probably been at the back, like, area or train station. Or abandoned trade station area, probably north of Janus Towers and the mansion.
Probably. One thing to add on to that, I don't know if you knew about this, when you play Rewind and you stand near the televisions, you can actually hear audio from Terminus.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that is fucking interesting.
So there's some more details of what might have been.
I'm wanting to bet you right now as well. When the Liberty Falls, if the Outbreak map for Liberty Falls came out, we would have played as a strike team, but the original or the Rec Room crew would have gone through the round-based maps, while Outbreak was us playing as a strike team, going like figuring out the pieces about Blanchard and Panos, if that makes sense.
Okay, so yeah,
okay.
Kevin Drew basically hinted during COD Next before the game came out that the alpha team that went into Liberty Falls wasn't working for Janus and was working for some outside force, and that never got brought up in the game at all, not even in Liberty Falls at the map. So I'm wondering if that was originally a plot line that was meant for the Outbreak Liberty Falls experience that just got cut from because of the circumstances of the game.
Yeah. And you even stated yourself as well that Kevin Drew stated before BO6 came out that the team we were playing as in Liberty Falls was not supposed. What you said was that they were not a strike team.
Yeah, they weren't working.
They were not a strike
Janus.
Team.
They were not a Janus strike team.
Yeah, they were more working, like, how do you put it that way? Like, they were random citizens in Liberty Falls come together.
I think it's like there's like some they're a strike team that was sent in by a different like company or organization maybe that was going in to investigate. That just like and that again the plot line just went nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do think the story of Liberty Falls and Terminus is really interesting.
So, behind the scenes for Black Ops 6, from what we know from rumors, and I don't want to stay on the, talk about this too much because it is a little bit personal for Craig Houston, but from what we know, that Craig Houston had some issue, and he had to take a leave of absence soon after Black Ops 6. So we know that at least Terminus and Liberty Falls, what was written there was by him, and that all the operator dialogue for the launch maps was written by him. And then everything after that was pretty much only outlined by him, but worked on by a different by the Treyarch writing team. But the Treyarch writing team without Joseph or Craig.
Yeah. Which was interesting because if you look at it the other way around, it does feel like in the beginning it felt like Craig, but at the end it just felt like bits of pieces were not written by him and they were written by different writers.
Yeah, throughout the DLC cycle, it definitely felt like the story was everywhere. Terminus Liberty Falls felt strong. Citadel felt strong in the beginning, and it kind of felt like it was like kind of splotchy towards the end of it because there was like details that like, okay, why didn't that get acknowledged at all? Like Kraft mentions how Richtofen's family died in a fire, and then Weaver just has no comment about it. And it's like, okay. And then by the tomb coming out, it's like, okay, yeah, the story is falling apart. The intel, the map main quest, and the dialogue is not matching up for what they're saying. It's just.
I mean, yeah.
Just very off.
If I'm also being
off the, if just went off the cliff for.
Off the board. Yeah. Pretty much off the board. If I'm also being honest, I had a theory back then that both Citadel de Moa and the Tomb were supposed to be one big map, like 2 maps into one. Where part 1 of the Easter egg was to defeat the Guardian, but part 2 was to get the Citadel artifact at the Tomb, or the excavation site, and we defeat the Citadel artifact in that, and that's where it ends Citadel de Moor.
It could have been. I don't know. I don't. At that point, it's just hearsay, just theory crafting. I don't want to say definitively, like, yeah, this is gonna happen.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying that as a theory, though, because that was my theory, because. In my opinion, it did feel like that the Tomb and Citadel de Moor were meant to be one map, but it got changed into something else.
Yeah.
But when you got to Shattered Vale, the story actually picked up.
Yeah, it got better.
I'll even...
It got better. It felt like it was like getting back on pace. It just felt like, the Tomb was just like a dip, and now we're back on track. Everything's promising. The stories of the liminal spaces and the previous owners of Shattered Vale felt like they might be going somewhere. Josiah Shem and the cult talking to Cortifex. We got mention of the Chaos Cult too. It really just felt like that the story was starting to come together some more, especially the ending of Shattered Vale, where they finally got some kind of confrontation between Weaver and Richthofen about the death of his family, and now we know that the Sam AI is planning on becoming a real copy of Max's, and that we need to stop her going into the next map. It just felt like things really heating up, and then the Reckoning just kind of like took all that build up and just like fell flat.
It did. I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually think Reckoning's ending was okay. It wasn't the worst. I will say that. It was better than freaking Origins and Revelations, is all I'll say. It was better than that, yes. The writing team got shat on. But here's the thing. I think one thing that really did well for BO6 was the gameplay.
Yeah, easily.
Because... if I'm being honest, I actually enjoyed BL6's gameplay for the most part, but when it came to the story, Terminus and Liberty Falls has strong story. But when it came to when it came to the Tomb and Reckoning, that's when the story kind of be like, no. Just like, no.
Yeah. The Reckoning story is obviously all over the place. The introduction of I'm a big Weaver fan. For my other Weaver fans, this is an infamous part of the map. The introduction of the character Kruger, who pretty much orchestrated the Weaver into killing Richtofen's family. It was just completely out of left field. It wasn't set up at all. It wasn't hinted at. It doesn't line up really with what Cold War was setting up. And I don't dislike the idea that people were being played. I just like the idea that like it's out of left field. There's no setup to it. It didn't.
There wasn't.
There's no setup. It just happens. It just feels like It feels like they threw something in there to wipe away any fault of Richtofen or Weaver, and just pin all the blame on Kruger.
Yeah, because again, if I'm being honest, this is why I said that after Craig Houston left for a personal break, he's back in BO7, I know that, but when he left for a break, the writing team at Treyarch had a lot of issues with its writing.
Yeah.
Like after Citadel. Because again,
they're definitely not. I know it's a lot of newer writers that were working on Black Ops 6 and 7, and I know they were not equipped to work on zombies. They weren't ready to work on zombies. Zombies is just a behemoth of a narrative, and there's a lot of connecting branches and paths that they did not know about, didn't recognize, or didn't care about.
Yeah.
A lot of lore set up in Cold War just pretty much gets like thrown away, or even lore that they get set up in Model for Zombies and Black Ops 6 just gets thrown away and forgotten about.
Yeah, and mind you guys as well, these were still Corky's maps. These were not Kevin Drew's maps. These were still Corky's direction of maps. So again, I'm going to say this right now. I do not think this was all Kevin Drew's fault. Yes, I do think he has flaws, but Kevin Drew, I think, was only lead director for BO7, not BO6. Corky was still lead director for BO6 Zombies.
I think Kevin got the promotion right before
around Shattered.
I think it was between Shattered and the Reckoning was when Kevin got the promotion.
He got promoted in March of 2025, so right before Shattered Veil came out, actually.
Which at that point it still would have been directed by Corky.
Yeah, and people would probably say, but that would mean Kevin Drew directed Shattered Veil and Reckoning. I'm like, probably not, because you gotta realize Kevin Drew is probably following steps that Corky had for the direction for Zombies in BO6 until he's taken his now direction in BO7. People gotta realize game development is like, once you're promoted to the director role from the former director's role, like for example, if the former director gets a higher promotion as studio and you're their place, you have to follow their notes until the next game, which will be your turn, because again, it's still their game that they have to direct. And you have to follow that former director's notes until it's your turn for the next game.
Yeah.
Now on to BO7, and oh boy, I'm gonna even admit we could skip a multiplayer because again, multiplayer is multiplayer, and I think multiplayer this year is actually good because
I'm a little bit different in this category. I find that I have a lot of opinions that people don't like to agree on. I actually really liked Black Ops 6's multiplayer. I know people...
I mean, I did too. It's just, the reason why I kind of disliked it was because some of the maps were okay, yeah, whatever, but some of them, we barely had any multiplayer maps that content compared to BO7.
So,
and don't get me wrong, BO6's multiplayer wasn't bad, I will say that. It wasn't that bad, it's just... it kind of felt rough in edges here and there.
Yeah. So, the maps is two common complaints for the multiplayer's maps and then SBMM. I didn't really mind the maps. I didn't hate them. I didn't dislike them either. I thought they were just okay. And I found that the maps I did like were disliked by the community because I really like Scud. If you don't remember, Scud was the one with the radio dish and the snipers.
Oh, I know that one.
Dish. I actually really like that map, and I know it was disliked by a lot of people.
I know I disliked it, but I didn't really hate on it, like how Blame Truth calls it. The Scud, that map, like the way he says it, it's like it's his worst nightmare, and I'm like, dude, it's just
I stopped watching
Blame
Truth a long time ago. I couldn't take the negativity anymore.
Same. I stopped watching Blame Truth and Nero.
Yeah, I stopped watching Blame Truth, Nero, T-Dog, Ink Slasher. It's just too much.
Yeah, because if we're being honest here, those 4 people, and this is not hate on them, by the way, people. It's just we kind of felt, in my opinion, they were kind of ruining the game's experience for us. I'm not saying that as like a casual player. I'm more saying it as someone who's been playing multiplayer since like back in the olden day, like BO1. Yeah, I can understand their points, but then again, if you look at the information here, people who go out and blame the developers like Treyarch who were forced to make back-to-back games, by the way, you can't really blame that on them. If I'm also being honest, half the systems that were introduced, like SBMM and the weird stuff, right, in multiplayer nowadays, was from Infinity Ward's ideas, not Treyarch or Sledgehammer. Yeah. Treyarch and Sledgehammer have to come in and fix shit all the time. And I'll even admit right now, if I'm being honest, as someone who's liked Sledgehammer and Treyarch's games, like, I even love Infinity Ward's games, mainly for their campaigns. But the problem is, it makes me feel bad that Treyarch and Sledgehammer get this, you know, the hand on the stick and be like, no, you can't do that. Well, Activision gives Infinity Ward the Golden Child Award.
Yeah.
But go on what you're going to say. Sorry.
No problem. So, Black Ops 6, during its life cycle, it had issues that were caused also by Black Ops 7, but also through Treyarch's own mistakes. Some of the big issues is that a lot of the complaints or gripes that the community might have had with Black Ops 6 wouldn't be addressed until later seasons or until Black Ops 7, where you have to buy a completely new game in order to get those fixes you wanted for 6 in the first place. And because of that, it felt like that the community was being ignored a lot of the times. And so going into Black Ops 7, the community was very angry and very resentful towards Treyarch and Black Ops. And because of that, when the pre-orders became available for Black Ops 7, they were very bad, very poor, very low, and it caused Treyarch and Activision to become very desperate and make drastic decisions to try and appeal to people to get them back on board to pre-order the game. And the 2 big things that happened out of it, one of them I'm really not a fan of. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I'm not a fan of this. They canceled Operator and Weapon Carry Forward for Black Ops 7, and then they reduced SBMM.
The reducing SBMM was good.
That was a good thing. That's a good thing. I'm not gonna sit here and say it was bad. But the first one with the carry forward thing, it will never not leave a bad taste in my mouth with the game. The game is an overall improvement, gameplay wise, but that one decision has just like ruined a very positive outlook I had on the game. It leaves me very like disappointed in the title.
I mean, to be fair, if I'm also being honest, it's mainly because YouTubers like Blame Truth, Nero, T-Dog, and Ink Slasher. Basically, if I'm being honest, they didn't make a strike, but they did say cancel your pre-orders until they stop doing carry forward. I think if I remember correctly, that's what was the one plan that those YouTubers did, was because they wanted carry forward gone. And I'm like, okay, and yes, I understand you didn't like carry forward, but zombie players are really fucking upset about it. And I'll even admit right now, I'm upset about it because, again, the only skins in BO6 that really fit the theme was the zombie skins.
And it's like these people pushed to have it like removed and didn't want it. And like they're not even playing the game a month after the fact, so they pretty much just fucked over people who actually wanted that out of the game and are still playing the game.
And again, I'll even admit right now, as a person who kind of knows a little bit here and there about game development, I don't blame Treyarch 100%. They were just listening to the wrong side of the community.
Yeah, it really was a rock and a hard place. Again, they were desperate. Pre-order sales were low, rock and a hard place kind of situation. They just trying to figure out something to do to recoup. And
look what happened to the game now.
And despite that, it still didn't
perform well.
Yeah.
Because of one thing and one thing only. The campaign, people.
Yeah, they can't. campaign was a big point of contention. So, Black Ops 6, I think overall was a really great game. I had a great time with it. But the issue is that Black Ops 7 was also a game, and whatever stuff they might have had planned for Black Ops 6 got saved for Black Ops 7, so Black Ops 7 could be a greater package, but then the foundation of Black Ops 6 that was used for 7 got ripped out because, again, it's a back-to-back game. People didn't want a back-to-back game. They wanted a new experience. And so that left Black Ops 7 kind of feeling like
a Modern Warfare 23 situation, pretty much.
It felt like a DLC that didn't want to commit. Well, I don't want to use the term DLC. It was an expansion of a game that didn't embrace being expansion for players who didn't want to play it in the first place.
For example, look at the campaign. If I am being honest, if they didn't do back-to-back games, or probably what they were probably going to do is probably year 2 for BO6, they were probably going to expand the campaign a little bit as well. Because, mind you people, MW22 and 23 had the same situation. Originally, MW23's campaign was going to be an expansion pack to Modern Warfare 22 for $50 to $70. Right? Well, here's the thing. This campaign was leaked to follow Alejandro and his team catching Valeria. But that, I think, was the post-launch story, and we got MW23's shitty-ass campaign. Now, if we look at both BO6 and BO7, the guild site was actually, there is a date that if you go into the site itself, or the code of the site, it was confirmed that this site was made in 2023, while The Truth Lies was made in 2024. Which basically kind of stands out that BO7 was originally planned to begin with, like its story and all that. But I feel like due to Treyarch making back-to-back games, they had to make BO6's campaign, which I want to bet the BO6 campaign was supposed to be flashback missions like BO2, and the 2035 missions were the present missions like BO2 as well. So I'm wanting to bet they were originally going to do a hybrid campaign, but it got scrapped and turned into what both BO6 and BO7's campaigns are now today. Now, mind you people, the BO6 campaign is better than BO7's, but here's the thing. If I'm being honest, with BO7's campaign, I think the story to me is a C tier. Just, it's not bad, it's not great, but it's okay to me. Because I understood the story more, and if you look at the post-launch story, by the way, it is one of the way better post-launch stories. I don't care what Ink Slasher says or anybody says about the post-launch story. It is one of the way better post-launch stories than BO6 did.
Yeah. It was a lot more, the post-launch story was a lot more cohesive, and it was a lot more, like, felt like it had, what's what I'm looking for? It felt like it had a plan going through it, while the Black Ops 6 post-launch story just felt like the beginning of it was stuff happening, and then the second half of it was, alright, we defeated Pantheon.
Bullshit. Yeah, because, again,
and there was no real, continuous plot line going through the campaign. It was just like, in the post-launch story, it was just like stuff happening.
Yeah, and if I also remember correctly as well, I want to bet you 10 to 1, and this is a theory bet, that when Season 3 was happening, they had to rewrite the story after Season 2 for BO6.
I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true, I heard a rumor once that the writing team on the post-launch story was a different writing team than the campaign team, and that the post-launch story team didn't even know what the ending of the campaign was, so they just made something up for the first season, and so they could have something ready, and then once the game actually came out, they can actually start working on an actual post-launch story for Black Ops 6.
Now, if I remember correctly, wasn't the campaign team just Raven for the writing, pretty much?
I'm not too sure. So it's a collaboration with Raven and Treyarch, but I don't know to what extent that means. I don't know if it just means Raven writers. I don't know if it means Treyarch and Raven writers. I don't know what.
I mean, yeah.
But I know that the campaign is predominantly done by Raven with help by Treyarch, and it's like that for Cold War 6 and 7.
Yes, but if I'm also being honest as well, if I remember correctly, while both Cold War, BO6, and BO7 were all in development, Raven mainly just helped with the campaign, while Treyarch did the multiplayer and zombies, and that's it from what I've known.
Yeah, that's pretty much it is. Treyarch, not Treyarch, Raven is mostly on campaign for the Treyarch titles, with help by Treyarch, and then they also work on Warzone. Raven is the main developers for Warzone in the post-launch seasons.
Yeah, what is your theory about what happened with BO7's campaign?
I think Black Ops 6 and 7 was originally meant to be one story, like Black Ops 2, where it has past and future segments. I think that they focused their efforts more on making Black Ops 6's campaign. And then whenever it came to making the Black Ops 7 campaign, they used what they had left to pull it together, and they used the basis of Endgame to create the story missions. Because if you played the campaign, you would know that a lot of the mechanics are just teaching you how to play Endgame. And I think that they wrote the Black Ops 6 and 7 story, they focused on 6 more, and then whatever open plot lines they had set up from 6, they just used to use for 7 story. And they do it in a way like Black Ops 2 did it, where if you remember Black Ops 2, the past sections set up Menendez, and then the future sections set up the fallout of what Menendez can do to the world. Where Black Ops 6 sets up Cradle, and then Black Ops 7 shows what Cradle would be like unleashed onto the city of Avalon.
Yeah, that's what I had a theory of. It's like BO6 was the story of the Cradle, and BO7 was what the Cradle can do to you if it's not contained.
Yeah, Cradle Unleashed.
Yeah. And I'll even admit right now, the post-launch story is actually really good. And people would say, oh, it's so fucking awful. No, it is not. I think it's good as Cold War, not gonna lie.
I don't think it's as good as Cold War. I think it's better than 6. I think my only issue with the 7 post-launch story is that they don't want to pay the celebrity actors that keep voicing their characters. So Harper, David, and Kagan just don't say a word.
Yeah, well, Kagan was killed off in the first season.
Yes. So that she wouldn't be the main villain. They have Dorn.
And if I'm also being honest as well, people were still mad about it. I'm like, dude, better than BO6's story.
Shit.
I mean, yes, I did say it's good as Cold War, but then again, that's because I like Cold War's and BO7's stories together, because, again, Cold Wars was one of the best post-launch stories you can ever get.
Oh, 100%, yes.
And when Raven confirmed saying, like, when BO6's story was going to continue on from the Verdansk issue, I don't think that was really set up well.
No,
if I'm being honest.
I think bringing back Verdansk and then making Verdansk come back be canon was just very poorly executed, because they wanted to bring back Verdansk for Warzone nostalgia, but they kind of wrote themselves into a corner by nuking Verdansk back in 2020 with the Zombies event.
Yeah. But if I'm also being honest here as well, if we also look at, like, for example, Haven's Hollow, which is a rebranded version of Liberty Falls, I would even say if that was the Liberty Falls map, I would have played it 100% more.
So I play Warzone to get... I'm not a big Warzone fan, but I'll play Warzone to get the camo grinds done. And I'll say I actually really like Haven's Hollow. I didn't think I would like it, but after camo grinding, I can say I actually enjoy playing Haven's Hollow more than Rift Island.
Yeah, and I'm also glad they're also ditching the old gen now, but people will be mad about it. I'm like, guys, I know new gen is expensive, but then again, they have to do it because again, I'm willing to bet that's why we have bugs nowadays. Is because they're supporting old gen with new gen at the same time.
I think they should have stopped doing last gen with Black Ops 6 at the very least.
Very least, or at least Cold War, in my opinion, or maybe Vanguard.
I think very least it should have been Black Ops 6. Realistically, I think they also should have ended it at Modern Warfare 2, because if you've ever seen gameplay of Modern Warfare 2 on PS4, it just straight up like can't play ground war maps. You can load into a ground war map and actually play the match, but like the map, almost the entire map is unloaded, and you can like barely make out anything within the match.
Try playing Liberty Falls on BO6. That shit on Xbox One is so hinge. I mean, the church's vines are not there anymore. The water effects are not there either, and some of the textures are weird as hell.
I've seen gameplay of it on YouTube, and it looks like it's like ready to blow up.
Yeah, it looks bad, but when you play on like Series S or X or PS5, it's way better. It runs smoother.
Yeah. And so we're still currently within the Black Ops 7 life cycle and season. We're going into season 5 here on Thursday. And so, you know, you'd hope that, you know, Treyarch could finally, because again, as we've been detailing, it's currently 2026, and they've been doing projects every year since 2015. And you would hope that, like, hey, once they're done with this game, they could finally, like, not release anything new until maybe their next game. But because they are the ranked play team, they will be working on Modern Warfare 4 through 2027 as the ranked play developers through the live seasons.
Which really sucks because, I mean, don't get me wrong, people will go out in the comments and be like, oh, they're just a small team of Treyarch. Yes, but then again, that still kind of affects the development cycle.
That's still Treyarch resources being allocated to the non-Treyarch game.
And again, let me say this right now as possible. Treyarch shouldn't have accepted the offers.
Yeah, I don't know who made the decision, if it was a Treyarch a decision or an Activision decision. But
I feel like it's more of an Activision decision.
Whatever it is, it's overextending Treyarch. I think we haven't really had a Treyarch game where they can just like do what they want to do without any outside intervention or having to work on another game since Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 was the last game where they really could do that.
Yeah, and if I also remember correctly as well, it's probably the reason why the story is for zombies is now today, because again, let me say this right now, BO7's story is amazing. And let me tell you right now, and this is just funny enough, I think this is why the intel kind of isn't telling as much anymore. It's because of the complaints of Cold War telling too much.
That, and it's just Joseph doesn't work there anymore. Joseph was the intel guy. Whoever's writing the intel nowadays just isn't putting as much thought into it as Joseph did.
Yeah, and I feel like this is just me. I feel like it's, if I'm being honest, I think the only things that are interesting now is like some of the documents and the audio logs is just it.
Yeah, the artifacts look cool to be able to like view a 3D model, but they have like nothing burger descriptions. So they really are like they don't really do much. And the only thing that usually,
I mean, to be fair, why should artifacts have descriptions now if they're not gonna write anything? That makes sense.
Yeah. Artifacts in
because
Cold
to be
War
honest,
give you, like details into the lore of the artifact. While 6 and 7 is just like, haha, here's a wonder weapon.
I think it's like both Liberty Falls and Terminus's wonder weapons, the Beam Smasher and the Jet Gun. I think they kind of have lore though.
I don't remember that. I know they have lore in the map, actually playing the map, but the artifact itself, the description of it, I don't remember there being anything significant of it. Like in Terminus, it was built by one of the scientists as a side project in Secret Room, and then for Liberty Falls, it was a a distillery made out of a jet engine made by one of the scientists of Janus and one of the civilians of Liberty Falls in a hotel room to make fucking moonshine or something like that.
Yeah, which was funny.
Yeah,
But
funny.
overall, if we look at BO6's zombie story to BO7's story, I think BO7's actually picking up the pace. It's actually improving the story. Yes, the artifact intel and some of the document intel is not great, but the audio logs are actually making sense.
I still have some gripes with the Black Ops 7 story. My main issues with them is the OG4 returning. For one, I didn't want them to ever return again, but I think their story was finished back on Black Ops 4. And then for two, the roles they play in the story, it feels like that their map comes up where they get their soul back. They get exposition dumped through their backstory and what happened to them. And then after that, they just kind of like are just there. And that's just they've just been there for the rest of the season. Like Dempsey, like all Dempsey's done after Ashes is just have the romance plotline with Maya, and that's it.
I mean, to be fair, that's actually interesting. I mean, at least they're making both Maya and Dempsey interesting. Because again, Maya always wanted to date a girl, you know? Or, did I say Maya wanted to date a girl? Dempsey wanted to date a girl.
You said Maya wanted to date a girl.
Oh my bad. I said Dempsey wanted to date a girl.
The Grey Maya stans are gonna love that.
Oh my god. But anyways, yeah. I think that's what the plot twist is. It's like both Maya and Dempsey are really good characters when you get to know them in this because again, they're really cool. I think the Nikolai side Easter egg fucked up Nikolai, like just put him to the ground. But when you get to Richtofen and Takio side Easter eggs, oh boy, those are interesting. For example, Richtofen side Easter egg confirms he doesn't regret nuking New York City and killing millions of people. 2, we get to learn about Element 115 and him worshipping court effects.
Yeah, making sacrifices to court effects.
Another one is Takio's Easter egg. The Oni in that Easter egg, or not Easter egg, the Oni in that side Easter egg is literally Takio's brother, Takashi.
Yeah, the whole story behind Kwakajo, the Onryo manipulating Takio's family and kingdom into basically exiling him and getting the king killed is just so tragic.
And I'll even admit right now, if I'm being honest, I think it kind of confirms that the Oni is Takashi, but in the Dark Aether universe after Takio killed him.
I mean, maybe. Possibly.
Maybe. Possibly, but then again, I think that's what's kind of...
It's not out of the realm of possibility considering how it was explained that the Dark Aether just, like, takes memories from the real world and recreates it. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it could be.
Like the Upside Down in Stranger Things.
Now, I'm kind of want to wrangle it back in here. This video's kind of getting a little long. We've caught up to Treyarch's current project timeline.
Yes.
They're still overworked. It shows in their products that, you know, they want to make quality stuff, but like it's rough around the edges and just short of like great. And I think that they really just need a break from making every single Call of Duty. They really focus on their own title.
Exactly. If I'm being honest, I feel like, and this is just me, I feel like Treyarch definitely needs a break straight on forward because, again, they really need to improve on the mechanics, the story, and just improve on a lot of things here and there because, again, it does feel like they're being overworked a lot. And I'm not saying that as like a mean way, but I'm more saying that as like, they do need a break because if they don't get a break, then there's not gonna be a lot of money that's gonna be put into, like, for example, Zombies' story, or even you know, the mechanics, if that makes sense. But again, for our little outro here, I just want to give a little thank you to the Safety Net for joining the channel, and I also want to say thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. Sorry if we are rambling a bit, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling a lot as well. We're just making a discussion here, and we just wanted to talk about how we feel about Treyarch being overworked.
Alright.
Safety Net, take it off.
Hope everyone has a nice day. I hope you enjoyed our discussion, and see you in the next one. See you.
Peace out, people.